Hey guys, Ben Hart here with Natural Music, and I wanted to talk to you today and show you a brief clip from our new course that we have on naturalmusicstore.com. And I was talking on the phone a couple months ago to a fellow Southern Gospel piano player. He plays with Tribute Quartet. Some of you may have known him. I bet a lot of you do. His name's Josh Singletary, a great player. And we were talking about teaching this style and some of the flaws in learning traditionally, and then trying to switch over to this. And we both came to the conclusion there's no flaw in learning traditional, but it does create some different types of habits that are not habits you want to have in gospel music. So one of the things that we really just both agreed on is in other forms of playing, especially in classical style playing and staying, and not really classical music in general, but staying to the page or to what's written or to what's shown, just following the sheet music or the exact chords that are being played on the sheet, and that can even happen in gospel music. Is maybe an area that holds you back as a player. And one thing me and him definitely agreed on was that the subject of options when it comes to accompaniment and playing gospel music is a definite topic and need. And so by the time we were done, he was wound up about as he gets. He's a very wound up individual. I like that about him. He's very energetic. If you've not seen them, Tribute Quartet, you need to go. And I mean, great singing, great playing. They come to your area, there's a plug for you. Go and see them for sure. Will inspire you. But he has put out an entire course. We're calling it the Josh Singletary course on options. And he so didn't want you to copy exactly what he did and play it, that he didn't want to use a familiar song that you could possibly play in church or with a quartet or with a group. So he didn't do I'll Fly Away, he didn't do Glory Road, he didn't do a common song that you could just learn it the way that he played it and then go out and apply it. So he took the most simple song, maybe you've heard of it, it's called Happy Birthday, and I guess there will be a time maybe where you have to play Happy Birthday and you could play it just like him, but he really did that. And he showed you different ways of playing it, different chords, different rhythmic patterns. And he did that because he didn't want you to just, if it was Amazing Grace, you could just go and learn it just like him. And then the next time you played Amazing Grace, you would play it just like him. And we have plenty of that on the site. And but really, even in my playing on there, I want you to grasp the concepts. You will see things happen over and over and over, because I want you to recognize, oh, that's this pattern, and we can play it this way. And then there will be other things that are over and over and over, and you say, oh, this can fit in the exact same spot. Kind of sounds like I'm talking in circles if you don't know what I'm talking about. But he made a course on the song Happy Birthday, which is a very unique thing to do for this site. But I think it was a good idea, because you can't just take that song and go and play it at your next church service or your next concert or your next whenever you are playing. You have to take what is learned there and then say, okay, here's all these options to this song. He did it in different ways. Now I'm going to apply it to my music. Let me go find a pattern or a chord change or a rhythm that's similar to this. And now I have all these options, and you actually have to apply it to your music, to your song. So important as a gospel piano player or as a musician in general. So he made a whole course. Maybe seems kind of advanced for some of you, maybe not so much, but he made a whole course just on the song Happy Birthday, and a whole bunch of different ways to play it, and a whole bunch of different chords, and just different options. So it's a real good thing to go through, and he's a great player, and go through that whole course, and by the time you're done, I think you'll be able to start grasping, okay, here are all these options, and I need to apply this to my music and gospel songs. So without further ado, here's Josh and a clip of kind of what this course is all about. It's uploaded on the site for those of you that are members. Go and view it, watch it all, learn it. It's great, great stuff. Hope you enjoyed that lesson from Jeff Stice a little while ago. that was a great lesson. We've got more from him coming. He's creating more material for us, and we've got more guest lessons. We also have the lyrics and chords page that we just launched. I'm uploading more songs, a few every day. And for those of you that are members, you can transpose to any key. And for those of you who are members, you can go and view the whole Josh Singletary course that I've been talking about in this video. So, okay, so here is Josh, and we will see you at the next video in the next lesson.
Hi, I'm Josh Singletary, and welcome to my course. As we discussed in the last video, it's important to remember that there are always options, and that whatever we show you and whatever we share with you, and you learn and you take from that, that doesn't mean that every time you play that song, you are supposed to play the song that way. I would suggest that you play it that way in order to get the feel, to understand what it feels like to play differently than what you're playing. And then to break it apart and analyze what it is that you've been taught. How those chord structures work against this particular phrase. If you're going from, say, a 1 chord to a 4 chord, you can, generally moving from that chord to push you along to that chord, you are going to add, generally, preferentially, add a dominant 7. Correct? But there's another option. You can, instead of playing a 1-7, you can play a 5 minor 7 in its place to then move to the 4. There are ways to make it more pleasant and to make the listener know where you're going, even though essentially, especially if they don't know the song, they don't really know where you're going. But it's easier for a singer to follow or a congregation to follow. Granted, in the case of naturalmusicstore.com, we're dealing with a lot of hymns and a lot of gospel songs that people already know. So let's get down to it. Let's take the song Happy Birthday. Okay, I'm going to choose to play Happy Birthday in the key of F. Now this brings up another point that I think is important. Just because a song is written in a certain key does not always mean you have to play it in said key. Say you have a vocalist who can't sing in the specific key that's written, then you'll have to transpose to another key. And that's a discussion for a later time. But for right now, let's choose to play Happy Birthday in the key of F. The traditional way of playing Happy Birthday would go as follows. Or if you are of an older school way of playing, it's another way of playing it. Okay, so now let's find a different way of playing the song. First off, let's break down. It's important to break down how the song is built. Okay, before you really figure out what else you want to do with the song, you need to understand how the song is written. So, the song would be in the meter of Happy birthday to 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's more of an 6/8 count. It is a 6/8 count. So, that being said, which means, for those who don't know what it means, if you're looking at a sheet music, generally if you're looking at sheet music, you know what that means. 6 beats to each measure is the number on top. 6, 8 means the 8th note gets 1 beat. Okay? The number on top dictates how many beats are in a measure. The number on the bottom dictates what type of note gets 1 beat. 6, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. And so on. Alright, so we know that it's a 6/8 time. So let's break apart what this song is written in. Now, most songs are written the chord progressions, or a more technical name, the cadence of the song, the chord progressions, especially in gospel music, are very similar. So this begins with F. Happy birthday to, and we know the next chord changes. You. C. So happy C, F, F, C. And it stays there. C, 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 F. F, F. B flat on the bottom. Happy birthday. C7, F. Okay. Why did we play that C7? Because it pushes us back to the F. Anytime you add a dominant 7, what I mean by dominant 7, that is a minor 7. So in the key of F, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. That is a major scale. Minor is up. That's the way I always remember it. Minor is up, major is up, minor is down. Major. Terrible fingering. You have to pardon my fingering there. Alright, so there's the 7. That's a major 7, but that's not what creates that sound. Minor 7, which is an E flat. When you add an E flat to an F chord, it becomes a F7 or F dominant 7. Now, what's important about that is, and I think it's key to point this out, anytime you add a dominant 7, you add a dominant 7 when and only when, unless the song calls for a particular sound. The rule is, general rule of thumb is, when you add a dominant 7, you add it there when moving to a 4. 4 being B flat in this case. And if you look at the scale of the 4 of B flat, it already has an E flat in there. It is the sound of a tritone between the 3 and the dominant 7, that is called the tritone. It is that sound that is so powerful that pushes you to resolve it. There's a funny story of Mozart being woken up by his mother every morning. She would walk over to the piano, key of C, and she would close the piano lid, and he couldn't handle it. So he couldn't handle that the scale wasn't finished. So he got up and had to finish the scale. The reason why that is because playing that B right before the C, if you were to build the chords around the scale, you would at that point be at a 5. But it is the assumed sound of a dominant 7 that pushes you. Pushes you back to the 1. Or 4 above, wherever you are. If I were to play a song, Happy birthday to you. You'd need it finished because I put a dominant 7 within that C chord. I have to resolve it. Okay? It's that tension. So, that being said, we know now how the song is built. So now let's just change it up a little bit. Let's add a couple color chords or substitution chords. Substitution is a chord that you put in place of another chord. It basically serves the same purpose, but it's just named or voiced a little different. It's a color chord. Color chord is a chord that adds color to the song. It's good to think of a song not in terms of black and white, but in terms of color. Because different sounds create different textures. Okay? So, now instead of a 5/7, instead of a 5/7, straight 5/7, I know that a substitution chord for a dominant 7 chord can be a 5. Okay, oh well, let's say for the 5/7 can be a 2 minor 7, which in this case, key of F would be G minor 7. What does that look like? G minor 7. G minor here, 7. Alright. Or in some cases, that's considered a B flat over a G7. B flat over G7, which is the same thing as a 2 minor chord. It's just named different. So in place of a 5 dominant 7, I can put a 2 minor 7. Now, why does that work? Because all the same notes are still there. As a 1/7, or I'm sorry, as a 5/7, which in this case would be C7. Same notes. Adding the 7 pushes you up a 4, which from C is what? F. Which is our home base, our 1. Alright, so now let's add that 2 minor in there. Two minor 7, 5/7/1. Now, traditionally it's 4/4, 1 over 5, or F over C. Two minor 7, because we are moving to the 5 on the bottom. 5, 7. Adding the 7 pushes us to 4, which is the 1. So now you can play that song completely different than you've played it before.